Alright guys, we're doing a live video here. I am live. Alright everyone, this is a quick video. I decided to jump back on. I just got a couple of text messages from people. Got a lot of information coming in about the upcoming podcast I'll be doing. It's going to be based on the election. Guys, it's going to talk a lot about the information that was given out that I ran on about the merger. How the membership was lied to. Now they're calling it a consolidation. Basically, they're going to move the medical around. I'm going to talk about we're going to lose jurisdiction. They're going to give jurisdictions to another part of the Northeast Regional that won't be affected us, that we're going to lose, which will probably cost us millions of man hours per year. So there's a lot of things I'm going to bring up in that. So people are sending me information now. I'm going to have some documents to help prove what I'm talking about. But that is the main concern tonight. The reason I'm reaching out to you guys is I just got a second or third email today within the last week. It's about members who are being brought up on charges for working while on the out of work list. Now, in one of the cases happens to be someone that I know. He's never even gotten a job his whole career off the out of work list, but he did sign the out of work list back when they got a text message or email about the Javits Center. He signed up, and I think when he got dispatched for a job, some of us think that we're aware of the fact that, if you don't call in after a certain period of time, they automatically remove your name from the out-of-work list. That's not only necessarily true. So if you do find a job and you shape on your own, the rules state you're supposed to contact the out-of-work list and let them know where you're working, okay? And in the process, they're going to ask you to name the contract you're working for and the location. I think this is the check and minuses. It's to try to see, where you're working and to make sure that there's a job number there and to make sure that there's a steward on the job. I guess it's just another way to check the system. But, in these situations, they punish the worker, all right? They don't punish the contractor. They don't punish the developer. They punish you. Just take, for example, that, in all of my years, since they started full mobility, right, for example, I know countless shop stewards and people that have been brought up on charges and stewards that were removed from jobs for working through lunch or, whatever violation they can pull them on. But as far as I know, as of today, no one's ever lost their full mobility. So, I don't believe the steward wakes up, comes in the morning, and it's his plan to change the rules or bend the rules a little bit to work in their thing. But if they catch you, they're going to throw the steward out, right? They're going to come after him for that. I know a guy who got removed for not letting him work through lunch. So, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? All I can tell you guys is double back on everything. Don't trust. I had one guy who he came into a situation. We had a discussion with somebody. He discussed it with the business agent, but now the business agent doesn't recall it, right? On the business agent's behalf, it's possible he doesn't recall it. Maybe he's done 100 different things and it slipped his mind. We don't know for sure, right? So. Text message, emails, always document something, especially if it's important. That guy, he got in the union later in life, so he got in at the provisional, and he's trying to now work his records out to get his time in before he got in the union account towards his 10,000 hours. So you're just making things a little harder for him because he had another situation where he was part of another union, and it's complicated, but it's really not. But they're making an issue over it. So it just seems to be that, document everything, guys. If you have a question and you can't get an answer from them, please call me or text me, email me. I'll do the best I can to help you. Like I said, I just got another guy who just had an issue with this, with being, he's actually on Facebook. You'll probably be seeing this video as well. If he needs me to help represent him, I'm going to help represent him down at the council. I don't know the details of his case. I know more details about the other case. But once again, you put your name on the list. There was a thing when they bump you if you don't call within 30 days, they bump you off the list. A lot of people go with that angle, but I don't know what it is in this now. I guess the benefit funds is the new system. They're catching up, and the benefit hours are being paid. And from what I understand, it is your responsibility to take your name off the list. I had a guy get sent to a job recently, a friend of mine with a company that I know. He got sent to the job. He worked in one job in Queens, gets sent to a job in Manhattan, shows up on the job. He's working there, realizes there's no shop steward on the job. Now, this guy happens to also be a certified steward himself. I cannot express how important it is that if you're a certified steward and you have that certification and you get sent to a job, whether it's a night job, weekend job, day job, whatever it is, you must call that in. Do not jeopardize losing your steward certification, because if they get caught, or someone comes on that job and walks that job and finds you there, you're going to have problems, and they're going to come after you twice as hard because you're a certified steward. For some reason, they don't penalize the foreman. They don't penalize, they bring them up on charges or whatever it is, but the company don't take a hit. They don't go after their full mobility. They're not the ones that are going to take the hit. It's going to be you. So you have to do your due diligence. You have to make sure you report that. So once again, if you don't want to be the one that pulls the trigger, like this guy did the other day, give me a call. I'll do it for you. We'll make sure you're taken care of in the back end. I'll make sure that people know that you were the one that did the right thing at the end of the day, so you're not held responsible. But it's a tough call, but listen, we all have to play by the rules. That's the whole idea behind this. It's everyone's responsibility. The IGs are following our stuff and they're coming down hard, so that's their jobs, I guess, in a way. Why they're coming after this and everything else is going to Ben, who knows? But listen, I'm a big advocate about, if we go after the small crimes, we stop the big crimes from happening, right? So if we do our parts, then they can focus on probably the more important things. Make sure you guys, if you're having a problem with your benefit hours, you have to report you have to fill out the stamp shortage forms. You got to get those in. Don't count on the business agent to do it. Don't count on your shop steward to do it. Make sure you call up and you get that paperwork. Once again, you can contact me through here. A lot of you already have my phone number. Anyone who reaches out to me, I'll help with that, and I'll definitely tell you what to do to get that paperwork in. Make sure you put in your missing stamp form, because it's very important. Without that being in it, they can't track it, and it's a paper trail. You're covering your ass. So make sure you put that in. Make sure you follow up with your business agent. If you told your steward and you don't think the steward is letting the BA know, you can call Anthony Medeo if you're in the city. You can call Dennis if you're out in Queens. They'll let you know who the business agent in your area is. If not, reach out to Paul, Dave, or Adam down at the council. And if that doesn't work, reach out to Rich Grimm's office. Document it, put it in an email. Someone's gonna, send it to Matt Walker. Make sure it's in writing. Make sure someone knows you're on a job and you're not receiving your benefits. And make sure that missing stamp, when you put in that missing stamp form, make a copy of it, scan it, and make sure they send back a receipt. Always BBC yourself on the email so you get a return email back, so you know it's documented. Because if you received it back, chances are they received it back. Keep yourself in the loop on that and keep track of that paperwork. It's very important. All right, so on this upcoming election, we have some important things to look forward to. What I pointed out before about the merger, they kept denying it. I'm being told from my connections through the International and other states around us that they're calling it a consolidation. They're going to merge our medical and our funds. They want the building, they want the money, and we're going to shore up the Northeast Regional. I believe there's 144,000 members in the Northeast Regional. In the process of doing this, the Dock Builders Union, they're going to chop the Dock Builders Union up. The jurisdiction from New Jersey will be given to the carpenters in New Jersey. So, you dock builders that are out there, chances are you're going to lose that jurisdiction. We're going to have Long Island, all the way to New York City, the 5 boroughs, and up to Westchester, and up into New York. I think up to Newburgh is where we control our area. That's what we'll have. But by losing that jurisdiction in Jersey, that's a big deal. We have a lot of dock builders who live in that area, dock builders, then timbermen. Well, there is no timberman jurisdiction in New Jersey, right? There's only dock builders. But that'll go to the carpenters local out there. I believe there'll be 2 locals, a north and the south, and they'll go to the Jersey rate. So that's going to be a big cut. I think it's like 18 or 20 bucks an hour difference, if I'm not mistaken. But don't hold me to those numbers. I know when they were doing the work in Westchester, there was a big difference in numbers between dock builders and heavy rate and Westchester rate. But these are all facts, guys. You can ask your guys if they're willing to lie to you. They're going to lie to you. I think some of these guys are beginning to realize they're telling the truth to the members now on the side to give you guys a heads up. What does this all mean? I said it before in the last election, guys. The retirement medical is going to be a no-go. They're going to chop that up. That's going to be gone. How that affects our membership is going to be devastating. All right? I wasn't going to get into start talking about this, but this is something we got to talk about to our members. How does a guy retire now? If you're a divorced member, right? You're someone divorced. Part of your divorce decree states you're supposed to have medical for your children, right? So now you're 55, you're getting ready to retire. You know, you can go out on disability, you can get Social Security disability if you're injured, but how do you cover your medical for your kids, right? How would you afford that if you're retiring on a $4,000 or $5,000 pension, right? You wouldn't be able to do that. You got a United Healthcare when you retire, and that's a supplement that you pay for. You know, that's at a supplement rate. How are you going to afford that when that isn't covered anymore? You're going to have to pay that at market rate. And I believe that's, $400 or $500 a month per person. So once again, over $1,000 just for the supplemental rate. Most members, if you did the belly button count, I did work with back when Mike Ford was around. They had me on a medical board, and we went with the belly button count, and I spoke about this before, that, you need 2.2 people working for every one person retired, and the average person, the spouse is 7 years younger than them. So you're carrying that spouse for 12 years. But these things, if your wife doesn't have, a state or federal job and doesn't have medical coverage, now how do you do this? How do you pull this off? This is gonna hurt a lot of our members, and when they pull the doc builders away from it, those hours go with it. So we're not going to be able to sustain that. But I don't think they have a plan to sustain it. I think they're just going to cash it out. Do your history checks, guys. Get online. Talk to the guys in Seattle. Talk to the guys in Chicago. See what happened to them. They chopped up the retirement medical. Some places they offer the medical for 3 years. So you would have to get out. If Medicare's kicking in at 62, so that's giving you 59. You go out at 59, right? So you get 60, 61, 62. You get 3 years, and then your Medicare kicks in. Once again, it's not covering your wife or your children. So, if you've got a wife or something like that, and they got an autoimmune disease or something like that, your retirement days are out the window now, because your body might be broken down. But what are you going to do? You're going to have to go find another job after that. It's going to pay you medical coverage. That's going to cover this. That's going to be a tough one to do. Our leadership definitely isn't looking out for us. They're looking out for themselves. I mean, it's clear as day. Hopefully, I'm going to stick my hat back in the ring, and I'm going to give it another run. I got a good group of guys that are reaching out to me to put a ticket together. So we're in the process of finalizing everything, so I'll have that out hopefully by the end of this week. I'm just waiting for the fine-tuning on who we're going to put where. It's going to be a tough one, guys, Try to look past everything and try to look at what's important. This isn't about, sticking up for your friends or your buddy. It's about, your coworkers and their families. And, everyone remember, just because like a guy like me, I work for the city, all right? So I'll have lifetime medical, right, because I'm a city employee. So it doesn't really affect me, but it does affect me because, I work for years on the outside. And all my friends and these people, I got a lot of good friends of mine that are family that are still in the business, and this will affect their livelihood and their lives and stuff like that. And I'm not going to sit back and let that happen, at least under my watch. I'm going to at least give it a shot, and I'm going to put myself out there to do that. And, a lot of people talk a lot of shit, but you don't see people actually doing it, right? So it's something that I'm getting out there. We're going to do some fundraisers. This time I'm not digging in my pocket anymore. These elections cost more and more money every time I do them. The costs are getting too much. I know people are tight out there with cash themselves, so anyone who can donate, I would appreciate it. We'll put the guidelines out there. You have to be a union member, you have to be in good standing, and there's limits on how much you can donate, a maximum or something like that. But we'll get all that information out to people. We'll maybe set something up at a bar in the city or something like that. We can do some fundraising, just to get information out there. And, if we need to hire an attorney or do stuff like that, we'll have that all set up, The money will be put to good use. Trust me, the money won't be wasted. Whatever money we can bring in, we'll put it in the right direction. We have to do the best we can to protect our retirees and their medical for their family. That should be our number one priority. Going after the market share, getting ourselves back on track, making sure people are held accountable, that's another thing too. There's a lot of changes need to happen now, guys. If you don't see it, then then I'm wrong. Then don't vote for me. Vote for these guys. If you think they're running in the right direction, and you don't think everything I'm saying here matters, I told you guys they were going to do what they were going to do with the provisional rate, right? That they were going to put it in the wall and ceiling. Everyone told me I was lying, right? They did it. I told you guys what they were going to do with the shop stewards with the 39 hours, right? And they told you I was lying, and they did it. I told you guys about the merger. They told me I was lying, and they did it. And now I'm telling you what they're going to do. And one of the things they're looking at doing is the hour changes on the provisionals. That number's going to change, guys. It's 10,000 hours. What that number's going to be, I don't know for sure. I've heard some crazy numbers out there. Not going to get into it right now with you guys, but by extending that number, you're taking those people who got in the union. A lot of people came into provisionals. They're not getting into the business at 18. They're getting in their 30s. So I'm just throwing a number out there, guys. So let's say you raise it to 15,000 hours, right? So let's say the average member does 1,500 hours a year. These are just rough numbers I'm throwing in my head. Obviously, you can do more, but when it's slow, you might be doing less. At 1,500 hours a year, that would take you 15 years to get to certified journeyman rate, right? So if you're an apprentice and you get in, you do 4 years, right? When you finish the apprenticeship program, if they did it to the apprentices as well as these provisionals coming in, you would have to do another 6 years. No, 11 years. Sorry, 11 years. 11 years you'd have to do at that time. How would that be possible? So if you got in at 30 years old, you wouldn't be getting full rate until you're 45 years old. Your body's breaking down. I mean, half these contractors don't want you after that rate. I think it's obscene what they want to do. But, this is what I'm being told. Will it happen? I don't know. But the same people who told me the other thing and they lied to us and told it wouldn't happen, it did happen. If this happens, this is my last election, guys. I'll be out of this thing. I'm definitely going to go in a different direction. I don't. If people aren't going to fight for themselves, I can't fight for them either. I got the election rules here that came in the mail. Right? I have the election rules here. I'm pretty sure you guys can all look at it. If anyone's looking to get in, you go just get your petitions. You can download them off the internet and go get your signatures. You need 500 to run a slate. I wish you all luck. I encourage everyone to do it. I think it's important for democracy that we have as many people that feel like if they want to run, they should be able to run. I don't hold anyone back from doing it. And you have my best wishes. Anybody wants to put their hat in the ring and give it a shot. We're going on a convention next week, right? We're going out to Vegas, our elected bodies. They got their marching orders. I mean, they for some reason, they don't even have their itinerary, which is being kept secret. So we don't even know what they're voting on. I don't think the delegates going out there know what's going on. They'll probably be notified on a daily basis where they usually have that paperwork in their hands. It'd be interesting to see what's going on there. There's some other people in the country, guys, that aren't happy about the medical merger either and what's going on with the prescription plans. They're not happy either. But this is what the leadership wants. So the people that are there are just they're all ready to go. They got 1 foot out the door. So they're setting themselves up and they're going to walk away into the sunset, and you guys are all going to be stuck holding the bag. So it's time for everyone to wake up, start getting people involved. I want to know what's affecting you, what's important to you. Is it your medical? Is it your retirement? Is it your annuity? What is it? Are you really concerned about the man hours? How many of you guys are really out of work? Ask yourselves how many hours did you put in the last 3-4 years? It's been tough, Let's say now 2027 things are going to pick up, right? So that's 2 years away, guys. 2 years. We're going into the end of the summer, and there's a lot of people calling me up that are out of work. Like someone who told me their car's off the road. They can't afford their car insurance. I got members, they're out, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Like one guy, an apprentice, called me, but all he does is office furniture. It's a little harder. Actually, I got one other guy I'm reaching out to try to see if I can find him work. But when you specialize in something like that, just office furniture, it's hard. It's hard to fall back. Like that's a novelty work, if you ask me. Right? Do office furniture, it's like a novelty work. Not knocking anyone who does it for a living, but you better have other skills than just doing office furniture. Things are tough. Things are booming, but we work there. But when things slow down, that's a rough one. There's not a lot of office work going out there. Still people moving remotely, so that end of the work is tight right now. Like we said, it's infrastructure work. When they move this dock builder work around, you're going to have a big problem. We don't have the private sector work we used to have. So you got companies like Scalamange and everything. They do a lot of private sector work. They're doing all public works now, and that public work is coming more compatible on what they're fighting on to do that work. So that's just going to move in a different direction. How we're going to close that margin, I don't know. They put this stuff together, guys, with this cost of living and this this low-income housing. We're not getting that work. We're not getting it, guys. They can tell you everything they want. They'll put up the signs out there. They'll dance around the street. They're going to hire these organizers and say in the committee, you're not getting that work, guys. It ain't happening. No fucking way are we getting that work. Not at our dollar. These politicians, they're keeping the numbers low. They're bringing these out-of-town contractors in it. They're making the money on the back end. they're paying substandard wages. That's just the way it is, and that's how it's going to be. Are things changing a little bit now? Yes, they're cracking down. But why aren't? The question I was having about talking to an attorney is, you know, where was the government? Where was Homeland Security? Why wasn't anyone Why aren't these developers being punished for paying substandard wages and being allowed to extort the system? Like, I don't understand how that's happening. They know they're hiring contractors. All these people that I know that have businesses, right, in all their warehouses, they all have illegals working in their warehouses. How is everyone getting away with it? I know people that have worked for billion-dollar contractors that do this. How is this possible? And everyone knows it's going on, but yet nobody stops it. Nobody enforces the rules. But when it trickles down, they'll come after one of you guys for not having your name on the other work list while you're working, right? You forgot to take your name off the list. So, you tell me, guys, who's really getting punished in the end? It's us. And the funny thing, it's our man hours that pay for all this. We fit the bill on all of it, guys. All the leadership, the IGs, everybody. They get paid by the hours we contribute into the funds. We're paying for these guys. Meanwhile, we're the mark, right? When something goes wrong, they're coming after us. So hopefully this election, you guys will open up your eyes, see what's going on, and vote for me and vote for my team, and we'll get done. And you have my word, things will change. I guarantee you that. Listen, the one thing I can guarantee you for sure is whatever I'm doing, if I don't see results, we're not going to keep doing it. We're going to switch it up. You won't see my guys standing out in front of a supermarket in downtown Manhattan with all the organizers and visitors on Friday, and for a building that's already done. That's bullshit. That was just a show or whatever. I don't know what that show was. It was an embarrassment, if you ask me. I don't get what that was, screaming and yelling. I don't know what that did for anybody. We got 70-story buildings going up 9 in the city, and that's the best we can come up with. We need to have a better organizing team. What some guy brought up to me about the shop carpenters recently, which I thought was a great idea, like grounds roots organizing, like you did with Starbucks, going door to door with these people. We need to have some organizers that start work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we get the list of these people working in these warehouse jobs, and we go knocking on doors. That's how we're going to have to do it. Old school grass, down and grass type of organizing that we did back in the day. Grassroots organizing, that's what I'm looking for. We got to dig in and start doing that. They did it with the Starbucks and it worked. Maybe that's what we need to do. Well, we can't have people just skating around doing nothing. We have these PLAs and these nature jobs, these school construction jobs, and they're floating around on the radars. Like I just said, we had a job uptown that didn't have a steward on it. How's that possible? The job was going on for a while. Nobody checked on it, right? So, thank God someone on the job dropped the dime to me, and I passed it on to people at the council, and hopefully we rectified that issue when we got a steward up there, which I'm almost positive we do by now. But, that's what we should all be doing. We should all be looking out for it. It's important. Remember, when you're working, guys, just because you're working, you have a job, remember there's another person out there counting on you to do the right thing so we can get that person to work, And, listen, you might bump some heads along the way and piss some people off, but take it from me, that's part of the game, guys. Just, have thick skin and know at the end of the day you're doing the right thing. You're trying to help the other person out, and that's what our brotherhood and sisterhood's all about. It's not about making somebody happy or looking the other way. It's about doing the right thing, and sometimes doing the right thing isn't easy. So, all right. So once again, keep these questions coming in. I want to know everything that concerns you guys. Some personal stuff. I'll keep your names out if you ask me to, if you don't mind. And your emails and text messages, please. Tell me if I can mention your name. If not, I'm going to keep you anonymous no matter what, because I won't throw that name out there unless you want to. But if you don't mind your name being mentioned, please do so. If you're collecting medical, if you have some type of ailment, sorry, can't even talk tonight. And you don't want that discussed, please put that in the email, because I won't discuss the exact ailment you have. Obviously, I'm not going to make your life too personal. But if you're collecting certain prescriptions, guys have told me about collecting diabetes. One person has some coloscopy bag type of thing. He didn't mind me using his hand. I'm not going to use it here. But one person their wife has some serious ailments, which was pretty touching when I heard the story about it. So, if the medical changes, this would be devastating to people like that. So we need to have that information so we can paint the picture so members really understand what we're looking at here and how this will really affect our membership. So, all right, guys, I'm going to cut you short. We're going on like 25 minutes. It's a little bit longer than I wanted to run this one. Like I said, this is a short interview. Get those questions out. I'm going to be doing a podcast similar to the one I did last time, kicking off the campaign. And I got a couple of special guests that are going to be coming into us. Some guys from, hopefully someone from the International, it's a retired member from way back. They're going to come in and speak for me. And we'll get some good ideas coming up. We're going to break some bread and talk about it and get it out there to you guys, and hopefully open up some eyes and get you guys to help us with the campaign and get the word out so we can get these voting numbers up. That's the only way we're going to win. You know, we get 3,069 people in the last election. If we can get that number over 4,000, I think we got a real good chance of winning. So, all right, guys, enjoy your Monday. Go spend some time with your family and get those questions in for me, all right? I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.